Hey plant fam! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jaclynn. This is my jungle. And if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I really genuinely appreciate you. So today, shout out to my Palm Street fam. Comment down below if you follow me on Palm Street and if you were hanging out in any of my lives recently. We do just like chill and chit chat, and we were having a really good plant talk this last live. And it gave me some ideas for videos because it helps me when you guys ask me questions, especially in a live format where we can have a conversation about stuff. And it came to my attention that people are a little bit confused about plant names and like, who can blame you, right? So it's been a really long time since I've done a comparison video, so I felt like it was really appropriate to do one now about Anthurium because we've done tons and tons of Hoya comparisons and other plants, Synapsis and stuff like that, Pothos over the years. So I've got a playlist for it. I'll leave it linked up here. I'm gonna put this video on it, but I do think that it's really important to preface this topic before we jump into the plants today with the differences between a species and a cultivar. So anytime that you see a plant name that is in quotes or it's capitalized, majority of the time it means that that plant is a cultivar versus a species. So a species is just, for example, for today we're going to be talking about Anthurium crystallinum. Crystallinum is the species name, or with other Anthurium you'll see Papillaminum, you'll see Forgetii, and you'll see Warocquianum, and they're always with a lower case. I mean, people miswrite it all the time, so you'll still see it with an uppercase sometimes, but the proper spelling, and if you're ever confused about the proper botanical spelling of a plant, you can always just do a quick Google search and look it up. So the information is really readily available to you if you want to look up the proper botanical name of a specific plant. So when it is not capitalized, for example, like crystallinum, that means that it is a species. So Anthurium is the genus, and then you have crystallinum, which is the species. But then from there you can have something like Michelle, which is usually in quotes, or obviously you can tell because Michelle is capitalized and that's a person's name, that that is a plant that is specifically named Michelle, even though it is technically still a crystallinum. It's a red crystal, but a red crystal is also still just a cultivar of crystallinum. So a cultivar, to give you guys the definition of a cultivar, is literally just a plant that has been cultivated by somebody that has been bred for specific desirable traits. So for example, we're going to talk about crystallinum today, but you'll also hear about red crystals and Michelles and purple crystals, and there's all the different crystals. There's tons of crystallinums, and we're going to talk about silver blush and Dorayaki and even silver chrome today as well. And they're all crystallinum. They all fall under the species of crystallinum, but they are specific cultivars because somebody made some babies and they were like, hey, these ones look a little bit different. Let's hold those back, continue to breed with those, and see if we can continue to bring those desirable traits out. And that is how you get a cultivar. So the most simple way that I can put it is that a species exists in nature and a cultivar is specifically cultivated by a person. So somebody has to take that species and breed it for specific desirable traits, and then they usually give it a name, and that is considered a cultivar. So the species we're going to be talking about today is crystallinum, and I'm going to show you my most basic crystallinum. This is like what you're going to see majority of the time if you are looking at a crystallinum. Of course, they all look slightly different, but I think that this one here is a really good example of just your basic crystallinum. I mean, she's beautiful, don't get me wrong. She definitely has a little bit of, this is from like moving. When I moved, she got like a little bit beat up and a little bit damaged. She's working on a new leaf though. I repotted her. And so here's my crystallinum. you can see she's pretty cute. This is like the most basic Anthurium. Like, when people think of Anthurium, I think like this is usually what they picture in their head. So crystallinum is a species of Anthurium that just exists. So that is what makes it a species. As you can see, it's defined by its slightly silvery veins, nice dark green leaves that can vary in coloration for sure, but it's always going to have these very pronounced silver veins. It's got tons of secondary veins. It's a veiny one, very veiny plant. So Anthurium crystallinum. But then somebody was playing with her genetics somewhere, crossed her with herself, and they maybe got some babies that they realized were a little bit more silver than the mother. And that is how the Anthurium Silver Blush was most likely born. Don't quote me because I don't know. I'm just assuming that that is how that plant was born. So as you can see, it's got the same heart-shaped leaves, similar color green, but the silver on this one is definitely more blown out, for lack of a better term. So the silver veining on the Silver Blush is just more pronounced. So to show you side by side, you can see the Silver Blush is much more silver. So somewhere along the line, genetics created a more silvery crystallinum. Somebody decided to cultivate it and was able to make lots more of it and decided to call it a silver blush. And that is what you have here. So Anthurium Silver Blush is technically a crystallinum. The cultivar is Silver Blush. And then you have the more rounded leaf compared to this one, and that would be the Anthurium Dorayaki. So I think this bigger one that I have is a better example because the leaves are super duper round on her, and you can see she's definitely a little bit more silvery as well than the regular crystallinum, and it can vary. The Dorayaki can definitely vary on how much silver it has, as can the Silver Blush. But you can tell just by looking at these two side by side, hopefully, that the Silver Blush is definitely more heart-shaped and the Dorayaki is a lot rounder. You can see the lobes on the Dorayaki kind of overlap a little bit, while the Silver Blush does maintain more of a heart shape. So that is going to be the main defining factors of these two different cultivars. Hey fam, editing Jackie popping in because I just wanted to make a very quick correction / clarification that the Anthurium Dorayaki is not just a crystallinum cultivar. It is a hybrid of the crystallinum and the clarinervium. However, it is still a cultivar and not a species. That's not to take away from the overall point of this video, which is to highlight the differences between the Silver Blush and the Dorayaki, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood the origins of these plants and where they come from and what a cultivar is versus a species. So hopefully I did not confuse you. I just wanted to pop in and make sure that that was clear. So let's get back into the video. So I don't know which one I like more. I think they're really, really beautiful, both of them. But there's a lot of variation in the plants, so sometimes it can get a little muddy. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to tell. And I think that this Dorayaki that I have here is a good example of how it might be a little bit harder to tell the difference between the two. These two look very, very similar, but again, their most defining factors that make them different are this one is much rounder. You can see that the leaves come out right here a lot more than they do on this one, and the lobes kind of overlap each other here. So it's just giving a much rounder overall vibe versus the Silver Blush that is a little bit more heart-shaped, more traditionally heart-shaped, like the regular crystallinum. So, but as you can see, the Dorayaki can be just as silver. This one was sold to me as a Dorayaki Silver, so you'll see it named that as well if it's got like extra silver on it. So this is the money shot right here. I feel like this is the best side by side that I could possibly give you guys to highlight the differences between these two different cultivars of Anthurium. But then you start stepping into super silver territory, and that is when you get the silver chrome. So I actually managed to find this one mixed up in some Dorayakis, and as you can see, she has got, put this down, I need like a table. She has got way more silver covering the leaf than the other ones that I've shown you, like this Dorayaki. Do you see how much more silver this one is? So this one's actually starting to border into what would be called silver chrome territory. And the silver chrome is literally just defined by the fact that most of the leaf is covered in silver. So I don't know, but it's definitely, this one's definitely Dorayaki. You could tell by how round it is, and it was from a batch of Dorayakis. But this one came out super duper silver. So eventually, somewhere along the line, somebody cultivated this specifically and decided to call it silver chrome. So this here is like an actual true silver chrome. But you can see there's actually not really too much difference in it. So I think that's where Anthurium and just plants in general can start to get really confusing for people. People get confused with Hoya names for the same reason as well. So there's just so much breeding going on in the Anthurium world because it is a pretty easy process to crossbreed them, that it gets really muddy and it can get really confusing for people, especially if you're newer to Anthurium and you're just really not understanding the names. At first, I felt like I was learning a new language, and I'm honestly still always learning. But I know that these are really popular Anthurium, even with people who aren't super into Anthurium. Everybody loves a silver blush. Everybody loves a Dorayaki. My silver blush sits on the shelf behind me here, and you guys ask me about it in the comments constantly and like what that plant is specifically, because it is just really nice and silver. So really quick recap. You've got your regular crystallinum. She is a species of Anthurium. And then from this species, people have bred and cultivated the silver blush, which looks like this, and the Dorayaki, which looks like this. But then of course, we start entering into super silver territory, and that is where you start to get your more silvery Dorayakis like this one and your silver chrome. This is a newer plant that I just snagged, so she's still looking a little bit beat up from packaging. But I hope that you guys found that super helpful. Again, keep in mind that there can be quite a bit of variation, even just within the same cultivar. These are both Dorayaki, but this one is cuter, in my opinion. This one is a little bit less round and kind of cuppy. Look at how cuppy that leaf is. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. But they are both still Dorayaki. So hopefully, if you've got one and you don't know exactly which cultivar you have, this video can help you properly identify it, especially if you picked one up from Proven Winners recently and you're just like not sure what it actually is. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that you guys were able to learn at least the difference between a species and a cultivar so that you're not so confused when you see these random made-up plant names that breeders make for their plants. It's literally just a way to separate it from the rest of the plants within the community so that people know kind of a little bit more specifically the lineage and where it comes from, because that kind of stuff is important to some people. So let me know if you still have questions or if you feel like there's anything that I didn't answer well enough for you in the comments below. I hope that I made sense. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, you should definitely give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything from me. There's a join button down there if you guys want to be part of the official plant fam. Get yourself some extra content. Usually just like more personal stuff, less planty stuff, sometimes some unboxings that are just from you guys, from plant fam members. And it's a really great way to support my channel as well. Another great way to support me and my channel here is to leave a comment down below. So leave me some heart emojis in honor of all these beautiful heart-shaped leaves today. If you watched this whole entire video, it does really help out the algorithm, so I appreciate it, even if you just leave a quick one and say hi on each video that you do watch. So I love you guys so very much. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are out there in the world. Let me know if you have any of these plants in your collection. Don't forget to go water them. And I hope I see you guys in the next one.